Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Reviewing Comics with me, your host, Alexander Turbin. Today we're going to be going over Spitfire and the Troubleshooters, a new universe title from Marvel. But before we get into that, I'd like you to check out my own comic book. This is Random Access, and this is the newest one going out to patrons. It was supposed to go out last month, but I'm a little late. I'm a few days late. They'll probably all go out on Monday. So, like I said, I'm a little bit late, but it's a full-size, full comic book, full-color comic book that you can get for at patreon.com/Alexander Turbin. And it's $3 a month for like I said, the 12-page comic book, which has backups by various artists. And this month is Paul Courtjohn, and he's been grateful enough to be in the back issues of these Random Access for the last few months, so always happy to see his stuff. And you can also get these at alexanderturbin.com, which is my website, and you can contact me at alexturbin0441 at Yahoo, which is my email, or alexturbin0441 at Gmail, which is my Gmail. Not Gmail. Instagram. Sorry, not Gmail, Instagram. Don't send anything to Gmail. I never use Gmail ever. So anyway, Spitfire and the Troubleshooters. Well, we've got a little bit more stuff to catch up on, actually. The newest poll is Sam Keith and Mike Mignola. And so far, Mignola is kind of trouncing poor old Sam Keith. But make sure you check out my links and stuff. And go to the poll and let everybody know who you like more. And also leave a comment as to why you like somebody more than the other. I'm really kind of interested in that because they're kind of similar but kind of different, and they both have their own distinct style. So it's pretty interesting. So another new universe, Spitfire and the Troubleshooters. I don't have number one. I think did I get this when it first came out? I can't remember. I don't think I did. I was pretty selective with the new universe titles that I got at the time. I know that I got DB7, Starbrand, Justice, and Night Mask for a little bit. Excuse me. And then I stopped getting the Night Mask, and then I just got those three. I wasn't going to be suckered into getting stuff that I really didn't want, which, they did anyway by doing this whole new universe thing all together. Let me know if you guys didn't really enjoy them at the time and you just kind of felt like you had to get them because maybe this is the next big thing or something like that. I thought my big thing was John Romita Jr. was doing Starbrand, so I was going to pick up Starbrand. And so if it's all a big universe, I was like, well, why not check them all out? And also just checking them out to see if they are something that I wanted or not. And I did. I think I got all of them except for Merc. Not interested in that, and the Kickers Inc. I was not interested in anything football at the time, so I didn't get those two at all. I think the other ones I got intermittently once in a while. But like I've said, I'm going to try to cut my videos a little bit shorter because it's been said that people don't really like hour-long videos because it takes so much time. And I fully agree with that. I'm the same way. If a video is like, 20 minutes, half hour, then I'll readily watch it and get into it and stuff like that. But if it's an hour long, then I'm not going to really, unless it's something that I'm super, super interested, then I'm not really going to hold out that long. I might start watching it and then peter out at the end. So I'm going to try to keep my videos a little bit shorter, 20 minutes, 25, 30 minutes, something like that. It was written by Jerry Conway, the pencils by Herb Trimp, inks by Bob McLeod. Rick Parker did the letters. George Rossos did the colors. Bob Harris was the editor, and Jim Shooter was the editor-in-chief, which is odd because, as you all know, Jim Shooter was always famous for saying every comic book could be somebody's first comic book, so you should have a good introduction in the beginning of what happened previously, and they don't at all. This is number 2, and they don't talk about number 1. They talk about it intermittently in the comic book. They don't have at the very beginning, this girl's father created the Max suit, blah, blah, blah. I really kind of wish that they had that, but I think they were trying to break away from the Marvel um, way of doing things at the same time as also that. But if they were trying to do that, then they probably should have gone with a completely different way of um, doing the layouts for the covers and all that kind of stuff. So it starts off pretty much like every second issue of a comic book, especially superhero. They're testing the strength of the armor. What I've gleaned is that the students from MIT, one of their dad created this super armor called the Max Armor, and he was intertwined or involved in some military kind of guys and this big bad guy who's it's very much like the Iron Man movie, the first Iron Man movie where it had Tony Stark and Obadiah. Obadiah I can't remember his name. But he was great. He was a great bad guy because that actor is an awesome actor anyway. Anyway, old man brain. I just can always say that it's old man brain, but it's really just my poor memory, off the cuff, trying to remember things. I'm horrible at trivia because, I might know something, but I just can't get it out there. But anyway, it starts off just like any kind of superhero thing. They're measuring the strength of the Max armor, and they're just kind of doing that using telemetry and all this kind of stuff, all this kind of computer jargon. Remember, they're MIT students, and they've got a lot of intelligence in their group, but also they're adding a little bit of humor. There's a skunk nearby, and they're having this little humorous moment about the skunk and Max's filtration system and all that stuff. But then apparently this truck comes from nowhere, and then the backstory is that it's been the rainy season or the muddy season, and they, I don't know, lost their brakes, or they're going down a hill, or they got lost or something like that. But for some reason, the truck has gone haywire, and it barrels down and falls on a cliff and lands on a tree, as typically that happens. She doesn't want to reveal herself to anybody, but she got to use the Max suit to save somebody, which apparently she did last issue. She uses this grappling hook kind of thing to grab a hold of the truck and pulls it up, and it's pretty easily done because the Spitfire suit, which they call it MAX. I can't remember what that stands for, but they call it the MAX suit, but they must have given it some sort of Spitfire. They must have given it some sort of little nickname, like the kids. So they either call it MAX suit or Spitfire, and I kind of wish that they would just use one or the other and just kind of use that frequently so you're not confused as to what it is. They leave. And the hunters, because they're hunters in the truck, they tell the news reporters and stuff about the whole thing. But they're back at their trucks. Apparently, they've got these big rigs where they hold the Max suit Spitfire. And the hunters are telling everybody what happened, that they were saved by this giant robot kind of thing. And the girl, Jenny, doesn't want the big bad guy, Obadiah Stane. Obadiah Stane? Is that his name? Anyway, she doesn't want the big bad guy to find out that she did that because she's trying to have a low profile. She believes that the big bad guy killed her father. She doesn't have any proof. So she's trying to lay low until she can find some proof. And also they're wanted by the cops because they apparently stole the MAX suit from this Krotz is his last name, Krotze. That's his last name. They apparently stole it. Legally, he owned the suit because it was part of a military thing or something like that. But it was her father's, so she feels like that it belongs to her. So, legally, it's Krotz's, the bad guy, but morally, it's probably hers. And then it introduces the rest of her crew. I can't remember their names, but they're all MIT brainiacs. And one of them has created these super arms, and he can bend steel and stuff with his super arms. I think the revelation or the intertwining of the new universe is that, remember when the new universe happened, it was like a giant white light. It wasn't until that giant white light that her father created or had the inspiration to create the Max system, and the robotics and all of that stuff, because this kid is saying that he's looked at his notes and everything became clear, and how it was like a flash of light or whatever, that a flash of inspiration that caused him to be able to create this kind of stuff. And once he had the notes from the old man, he was easily able to replicate some of the stuff. So he's got these super arms, and it's very much like no, I can't remember that show about the kids and their parents are bad guys and they have superpowers. It's on TV. It's on Hulu. Anyway, so they know Krotz is out to get Jenny and the Max suit. And this guy, the one that created the super arms, he has a crush on Jenny, so he's going to try to protect her. And so Krotz does all this stuff. He's got a henchman, a brainiac henchman. So because they're all, professors or whatever, they're all super intelligent. So he tells him to unleash the behemoth and go after the girl and the Max suit. The behemoth is really cool. It's on the cover, which is this big black tank, which is really cool. When I first saw that, I was reminded of the Mars rover in $6 Million Man. I loved the $6 Million Man when I was younger. And I know that I said I was going to keep these videos really, really short and concise and stuff. But, if I've got a memory of something like that, I mean, that's awesome. That, and who else loved the $6 Million Man? I mean, I loved the $6 Million Man. It was my favorite show when I was little. And apparently Mark Wahlberg is going to make a new one, which he's too old for that. It should be a younger guy doing that. And it should be $6 billion now. $6 million is no big deal. And he should be able to do all kinds of new stuff that he couldn't do in the original show. It should be, updated for the times. During the 70s, being able to lift something or see super far, that was awesome. And $6 million would cover it. Now, $6 billion. But anyway, the kids are sneaking into the MIT, I think it's MIT, or some sort of thing that they're trying to get this Kurtz guy, Kurtzo, is that his name? I can't remember. I can never remember people's names. Krotz, Krotzy. So they break in. He uses his metallic hands, to rip open the fence, and he's doing all this kind of super stuff, and he's really kind of showing off and having this bravado that he's now got because of these super arms that he has. He's like jumping from thing to thing, but then the Krotz takes his super tank on a truck or a train. It's on a train, and it's going to find Jenny and the Max armor. He jumps on the train. He's holding on for dear life with his arms. And then he finally decides to rip into the train and see what's actually going on in there. And he gets knocked about a little bit. His friends are worried about it. And then it cuts to a scene where Jenny, she's confused. She doesn't know what to do. So she calls her sensei. She is a Tai Chi student, and that's her instructor, and he gives her all of this kind of wisdom about what to do and stuff, and it's really follow your heart kind of thing. They finally catch up to the train because they were in trucks. They catch up to the train, and they finally realize that it's that giant tank that I was talking about, that giant black tank, and then they call. I believe they call. No, they don't call. Jenny and her friend are just off, and they're going to go try to help her friends. They come across the giant tank in the woods because it's trying to locate her, trying to find her and get the Max armor back. It destroys the Jeep that they're on. It like crushes it really, really good, and it fires at her. But she realizes that it's just toying with them and that it wants her to bring them back to the Max armor. And that's what it's trying to do. It's not really trying to kill her. So then they end up going back to the trucks because they can't outrun the tank on foot, but they can outrun it on the trucks. And she and the other friend hook up with all of the other friends. So it's all five or six of them. and they're explaining all of the stuff about their friend um, Edward. I think that's his name. Eddie. Eduardo. I think it might be Eduardo. So you realize that the henchman is controlling the super black tank remotely, and Eduardo, I think that's his name. He's been busted up pretty good by the guards of the bad guys, so he's kind of just in a mess in one of the train holds or whatever, and he's trying to see his arms, but then the henchman who's blasting away with the tank at Spitfire, Jenny hops in the suit and she decides that she's got to fight the tank because there's no alternative to it. So she's just kind of jumping around. The tank is shooting at her, and she's just jumping around and playing, just trying to get her bearings and figure out what to do and stuff like that. He's talking to her through the microphone of the tank, saying, all we want is the suit. Just give us the suit. You can get away, and we won't press charges and all of this stuff. And she's not having any of it. She's like, this is my dad's suit. You guys killed him. I'm going to bring you guys to justice. Blah, 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 blah. Then we have one of the friends, and they're talking to each other, and they're like, they finally realize that it's being remotely controlled, and they're trying to jam the frequency, but for some reason they can't jam the frequency, and so they just keep on fighting Spitfire and the behemoth tank. The rest of the Spitfire and the troubleshooters figure out that it's not being remotely controlled, which this is probably the dumbest part of the whole book. I mean, I haven't said that any of these New Universe books are dumb or any of the plots are dumb or anything like this, but this part is just plain dumb. Instead of using Wi-Fi or anything like that, the tank is hooked to a cable to the truck that is controlling it. And so what is the cable, thousands of miles long, or is it hundreds of miles long? And what if it gets wrapped around a tree or something like that? It's just the dumbest thing in the whole entire world. So anyway, they realize that it's not being remotely controlled wirelessly, and that there's actually a wire connecting the tank to the driver, and that once you cut the wire, you're home free. She realizes that, although before Jenny does that, they walkie-talkie her, telling her that it's a wire and to find the wire and to cut it, and then everything will be done. She just grabs the tank's cannon and crinkles it in half or whatever, bends it so it's no use anymore. So why find the wire at all? But she does. She finds the wire. It's the width of a hair. So it's a really thin wire, and yet it's controlling all of this data, which is very crazy. And she cuts it, and he's upset. The henchman is upset because this is a $6 million tank, and she just pushes it off a cliff. And that's pretty much the end of the story. She's destroyed the Mars rover, is what I'm going to call it, although it's Behemoth. And then they bring over Eduardo, and he's really bad hurt. He's unconscious, and she says that she's going to go after Krotz and make him pay for all of the stuff he does. So that's how it ends. The art is pretty good. It's pretty standard. It's the narrative art. I never had to go back and reread anything. The writing is pretty standard. It's pretty okay. I'm going to give it a 7 because I don't want to get any more Spitfires. I don't love the story. There's nothing interesting or different about it. If you're going to use an armored vehicle or armored thing, then you have to make it different somehow. You have to make me want to reread it, keep reading it, and if it's not going to be fantastically told with story wise and art wise and writing wise, then there has to be a unique idea. And there's really no unique idea either. It's Iron Man with a bunch of kids, pretty much, and that's just not enough to to keep my interest. I'm not really a huge Iron Man fan. I started to get him back when I first started reading comic books around his 200 mark, I think. But then shortly petered out. That was like one of the first ones where I realized I did not like the coloring. And that was one of the reasons why I didn't keep getting Iron Man. And I didn't really like the art and the stories either. I thought they were kind of pretty generic, which is kind of what I feel about Spitfire and the Troubleshooters. So far, in my estimation, it's probably the weakest of all of the books that I've read of the new universe. So I'm pretty glad that I never got into it. Like I said, there's nothing unusual, nothing new. And so it's just same old, same old. It's not bad. I mean, it's the art is very competent and very professional, and the writing is very competent. It's just nothing fantastic enough to get me to keep buying it. And so I'm going to give it less than a 7. I'm going to give it a 6. I'm going to give it a 6 because I feel like having a brand new universe and a brand new idea, they could have missing the boat. I'm docking them 1 point for missing the boat, and I'm not coming out with something really interesting or different, because if I'm making an armored vehicle or an armored thing, I'm going to do something radical. I'm going to do something really, really weird and different and strange. And I'm not just going to, rehash the Marvel universe if you're trying to do something different. Yes, it looks a little bit more realistic than Iron Man's armor, but that's not really enough to make it different and unusual enough for me to get it on a monthly basis. So anyway, let me know what you guys think. I'm giving it a 6. I could even go lower, I think. I don't know. I really didn't dislike reading it, but I didn't really love reading it either. So let me know what you guys got when you first got these. If you're my age and you got these new universe books when they first came out, let me know which ones you got and which ones you avoided, or if you got all of them. I mean, they didn't sell super well, so there's not a lot of people that did buy them, but I have a feeling that we're kind of all of the same age group, and we maybe picked up a few of these books, and maybe we did and picked up a few and didn't pick up the other ones and stuff like that. So let me know which ones you guys got. And if you're in the same thing as me, did you get Star Brand because of John Romita Jr. and Justice because he's a cool looking dude? Or did you pick up the other ones? If you're new to the channel, this is what I do. I review indie comics for the 70s, 80s, 90s, and beyond, and whatever. I love the indie books, but I also love Marvel and DC. So if Marvel and DC put out something unusual or weird or whatever, then I'm going to review it because. So if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing, hitting the notification bell, and all of that cool stuff. But more importantly than that, I love to hear comic book readers' thoughts and opinions on these books. That's why I have a poll every week to get your guys' opinions and figure out what you guys like and what you don't like. So let me know what you guys think of Spitfire and the Troubleshooters and the rest of the new universe. And it's a Friday, so have a great weekend. I don't think there's going to be a video this weekend with me anyway. Maybe Joe will finally do one on his own. But let me know what you think, and have a great weekend. And as always, if you're a creator, if you're not creator, if you're an artist or not an artist, we're all part of this one big group. And if you're just buying comic books, you're a creator. You're part of the group. You're part of the creation process. So like I always say, keep on creating.